What is up, YouTube? My name's Chris, and I want to continue the OSC tutorial today by talking about some of the effects and the filler sounds that I use for this track Collider. So what I thought I'd do is just play the intro real quick with everything running so you can hear how it sounds, and then play it without the effects. Okay, so now I want to play it without the pads and without the effects. Okay, so as you can see, the effects are doing a lot, and so are the pads that kind of fill out the sound. So how do I do this? I'm not going to go through every patch that I made for all the sounds here, because there's hundreds of YouTube videos showing you how to make pads and whatever other kind of effect sound you want to make. So per usual, I'm running all these pads into a intro pads bus. And if we look at the EQ on that bus, you can see I'm taking out all the low end to make room for the bass eventually, and just so it doesn't get too muddy. And then bringing out a little bit of the highs, probably just to taste. The other thing I'm doing is I'm just layering a ton of pads. So if I just solo each one, so I called this choirish. This is the best choir I can make, and I made one called Chris Choir. This is a terrible choir patch, and I wanted to make a good one, but I couldn't figure it out, so that's what I came up with. I layered it with this drone. Thought that kind of sounded like an Eastern or kind of like an Indian drone sound. And then let's see, this is Cheesy Ghost brass pad. That probably deserves to be soloed. Right, so this is just kind of adding some higher frequency content to the drone. And then with the choir. These are probably super soft for you guys because I've got this pad bus turned down to minus 17.4. I'm going to go ahead and just pull it up. And then this low string pad. It's actually a pretty horrendous sound, but layered it kind of works. Please go there. Yeah, so all those pads kind of layer together to make one sound, you know, and you can play with things like push them to different parts in the stereo field, that kind of stuff. There's also this thing called pad tension. Kind of like that feedback sound. I'll play it by itself. I kind of like that one. This looks like a preset. I don't think I named anything that. So this is probably one that comes with the synth. Probably, though, I didn't use it right out of the box. I probably tweaked on it to get that kind of feedback sound. And this pad pulsed, Evil Piercer, I think that was another preset. Excuse me. That I used. Let's hear that one. So that's giving you tons of higher end harmonic content. And I think as you can see, that was the last one in the chain. I probably added that because I felt that without the drums in there and just needed some more filler. So let's go ahead. I'm going to play everything without spec down. There we go. Without this guy and then with the Evil Piercer. Oops, I think I turned the stereo all the way down. My bad. Okay. There we go. Okay, so then with this guy. Yeah, so it's just adding a lot more high-end content to kind of fill the mix out. Then the last kind of pad sound is this guy called Chris Choir. Let me solo that one. So this one I did make, and I messed around with the choir. I really wanted this male choir sound, and I just didn't get it. So if any of you know how to make one of those in a synth like this, send me the patch. Leave me a comment. I'd love to have it. But again, you know, sometimes you have this stuff in your head that you want to do, and you can't figure out how to do it. You just have to punch out and get on with it. So this is the patch. It's not, it sounds all right, but it really wasn't what I was going for. I really wanted more of that kind of synthy sound. Okay, and so then there's also this effects chain. Bring this back down. So all these effects, let's just go ahead and solo the effects bus. So these are pretty standard, really dark sounding effects that I made. And again, I don't want to give away all my secrets. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care. It's just that you can find presets for this stuff, or not presets, I mean patch tutorials for these types of sounds and wherever on YouTube. But it's really just all about creating some sounds to fill out the soundscape, or however you want to call it. And in this track, I use a lot of this stuff, and I feel like in neuro tunes like this, it really helps to glue the thing together. So I'll just show you this one that I kind of like, this synth harp thing. Called it Boxy Woody Nylon. So really, that's kind of nice. I kind of like how that has this stereo delay on it, and it's really dark sounding. And I'm just using the pitch bend on the synth to kind of give it that tension, if you will. And in this track, I didn't use a white noise riser. I almost always use them. I overuse them, so I made a point to not use them in this track, but I did use this thing. So a really simple thingamajig there. Riser and defeat. I don't know. Again, that may not be my patch. That might have been one in the library that, again, I tweaked on to get what I wanted out of it. But if you've seen these, I'm sure you've seen these before. It's just all about, you know, opening a filter or increasing a pitch riser type thing. I don't think I did this one in the MIDI. Yeah, I just used the, well, that's the velocity. Did I use pitch bend? Nope. So yeah, that's all in the synth patch. And again, that's just to build some tension going into the drums in part here. Then I have this wind patch that you didn't hear. Super soft. So I use that throughout here and in the build, and that just provides a little bit of background, some granular sound. So I find that stuff like that just kind of makes the mix sound a little more full and kind of interesting. You can see this thing was mixed way low in the mix, right? It's just barely there. It's the kind of thing you hear in a good set of headphones type thing, and it makes it kind of fun. All right, and then finally, I have this thing I called ARP Builder, and this is just a double layer of things that come in filtered. So if I turn the automation channel on, filter's opening, building some tension. Closing the filter down. Super cheesy, right? Just kidding. Kind of. It's kind of cool. So I just made this little guy fit for ARP. I don't know. Again, I might have made this one. I don't know. But it's just basic waveforms, kind of a sine wave. Well, I've got the step turned on here. Really simple stuff. A little bit of cutoff open. And then I've got the on the bus, I've got a single EQ that is automated. So the frequency of this guy is moving the high pass, or I'm sorry, it's a low pass high cut, and it's opening that up to kind of bring it into the mix subtly. And I've got a bunch of delay. I think, yeah, stereo delay. Probably have this going to a reverb. I do. Just the silver verb, right? 100% wet on the bus. And I've duplicated the channel. So this one by itself sounds like this. And this guy sounds like this. So all I did was duplicate the channel, and then I turned the pitch or the frequency knob, I think they call it, up an octave. So now that when they're layered, you get this kind of nice octave. For me, that's more of a mixing technique. It's not that I really had this vision of having these big octave arpeggio things going on. It was more that the lower end one didn't sit in the mix quite like I wanted, so I duplicated it and made an octave version to kind of bring it out. And then the filter, as the filter opens up, it kind of brings out that octave part. And you can see the patch is really simple. These are the notes. They're pretty simple little, I think this is like a little F sharp minor. Doom, 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 doom. Very, very basic, nothing fancy, but it kind of gets the job done. I'd say the last thing I'd say is that a lot of times the drums and the bass and kind of the melody get a lot of attention, but I find that these little filler pieces and effects and things like that kind of bring the track together and give it depth. And it's really fun to kind of mix them in there and get something going that you really enjoy mixing into the mix. It just kind of brings everything together. The last sound I really wanted to talk about was this Creepy Roads pad. And I kind of like this sound. I'll play it for you. So all that is a patch I made to sound like a Rhodes piano, and I called it Scary as Hell Neuropad, just for fun. But it's almost like brass, right? I've kind of used the sine wave, or this is the LFO, but the step and the sync again here, and I've got the auto filter running to kind of open that, give you that wobulation. And so by playing two adjacent notes, or those are the two I use, F sharp and G, it just gives a lot of tension, and it works great in a really dark tune like this. That sound was really fun to make, and I actually do remember when I was working on the track, this was one of the last things I did. It just needed something in there to kind of make it sound a little more wicked and nasty. Let's see, so if I play the track from there. Sorry, I muted that. Yeah, so I mean, it just kind of adds this layer that makes it kind of sound dark and brooding. So anyways, it's kind of it, right? And I hope that that's helpful. I think the next video I actually will talk about the arrangement and more of the how I wrote it kind of stuff. And I think that would be beneficial. Some people have been asking questions to me like, okay, I get all the sound design, but how did you actually like write this tune or whatever? So I'll try to make a video about that, and then I'll talk about the mix and master, and I think that'll wrap it up. All right, so I'll see you in the next session.